Sanje Chedang Soge Chonam La Chancho Badu Dani Gazuji Dagi Chunin Gibi Zanangi Lola Pinche Sangi Drupa Sho Sanje Chedang Soge Chonam La Chancho Badu Dani Jeje Jebe Sonamaje Rola Pinche Sangi Drupa Sho Sanje Chedang Soge Chonam La Chancho Badu Dani Gazuji Dagi Chunin Gibi Sonam Rola Pinche Sangi Drupa Sho La da la me me da ma je ya um ba da ja sin na so chu je jo la ja wa je ba na so je sum ba ra de je de je jo de da je je da me chu ne se ne de she she na ye ge no 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 je ge ro da da me ye ge no no ro ge je da na je da tam je ge de da ge ju don do 마주나게 타다냐베 심제 담제제 돈데 도자나노메 바용 다바도베 손제제 공부는 뭐제 젠네요 도바자 대지도 담배 주세냐베 고노 군조제를 만나 레바사다데 셈바르쇼.
Please listen by adjusting your motivation and your conduct by thinking that I must achieve the state of complete full enlightenment, peerless complete full enlightenment, for the sake of all the mother sentient beings equal to the extent of space, and for that reason I'm going to listen to the holy Dharma teachings.
그래다 공화선바 자베 주네 여외송라 담지제 내도 봐. 신다지 뭐 늘어도 도면이제 나와서 반념에 좋아진 뭐도 가수시지 뭐 송가와 전부 토지 주송한다고 담바사모 남바타제 집에 산루베 제원 쪽에 주도 집에서 이제 남제를 맡ам제 마성하면 받던데 다 주소 주 남제인데 현시노 뭐가 값을 봐봐지.
The Dharma which is going to be listened to is an explanatory shilung, the explanatory transmission of the stages of the path to enlightenment. So this is a Dharma, this is a teaching which is the way to guide the fortunate to the level of Buddha by way of the stage of the path to enlightenment. It gathers together all of the essential points of all the teachings of Victorious One. It is the way of the two great charioteers, Nagarjuna and Asanga. It's the Dharma system of the Supreme Being who's traveling to the ground or the level of omniscient mind, the exalted knower of all aspects, and it gathers together or contains all of the stages to be practiced by the beings or the persons of three scopes, with none missing at all.
말이다. 다 저기 근데 내가나 간데 제가 있나요? 근데 대 론도 드마진데 지선 론에 근데 정말나 내가도 동안 침보제야. 근데 내가 공 너무 땜바다. 그러다 좀 그러다 좀 내내 손이야 이제 저 뒤져야 되다. 좀 생겨요 말이다. 좀 내서 칼라 자다 내봐도 정말 이제 로가지. 레버지도 네버지 대단 로비 지선 로. 다들 나타나다가 자남가도 정말 있나요? 근데 정말 대해지는 로는. 삼지마 밤에도 거나 정말 되는데 밤이에요. 그때가 나오지 레버지 밖에와도 네버지 뭐가 가리 있나요? 근데 정말 진짜 지선 로를 해서야 돼 공지.
So where we got to in the text anyway is the teaching that any positive or negative action or karma that one creates follows one like a shadow. Which means that in the next life, that as a result of any positive or negative karma we've created, then we would experience great happiness or great suffering accordingly. And so the source for this is what's mentioned in the English text as down near to the bottom of page 212, the collection of indicative verses. So in Tibetan this is Tsong, and so Tsong means like it's teachings that were given by the Buddha from time to time. And so Rinpoche has read a couple of verses out of that, and what this says is that just like when a bird is flying, its shadow accompanies it all the time, and when it lands, then you can see its shadow there. So just like that, any positive or negative action that we do accompanies us all the time, just like the shadow.
Chetal Lamja Mondo, Lamju Devandro, the Tejin Lesan Chivaye, Simjetan and Dendron Rita took up Jumden and the Sumbi Kabla, Lamla Shun, Tonjin, Jin, Jail, Pandrogo Yoyina, Lamji Jas, Tobjet, so give a key in a retanyam, a kitchen and rogo yori. The things are not yen, someone that tender. That and Kabla, Lamjan Union Madame, because Taramon Rogo Yoina, and then Lamandro, Gange Chimbotea, Dongamu Yunga. Then Noji, Les Ombo, Atagiva Majebayina, and the Chimi Lamandro Kabla, and Roya, attended Donga Yungaris. That Lamandro can de Lamja. Saya mombo kia yoina, kope malipa de saya kia yona, devemone, rogo de left one noji, rene, les ombo che yangetechi, chimana, then roll and rotovaji yungres, so
Then we're looking at the first complete verse that you see at the top of page 213, just as when those who have prepared many provisions, that verse there. So at the time when Buddha was teaching, then when people wanted to travel here and there, then they needed to take the provisions for the journey, because it's not like these days where you have restaurants here and there to stop off at. So in those days, then it would be you'd have a difficult journey if you didn't take enough provisions. Whereas if you had sufficient without the sufficient provisions, then you'd have a difficult time in your journey. So similarly, without positive karma, then when you go on to the path of to the path of the next life, to the future life, when you're going to the future life, then if you haven't created enough positive karma, then you would also have difficulties. So just like if you're traveling in those circumstances at that time, if you have plenty of provisions, enough provisions for the whole journey, then you'd be able to make the journey without
good Lord.
The
next, so who have not created good karma, then in the next lives go to LamRims.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. So for those people who haven't created enough positive karma, just like a person who goes on a journey without enough provisions, then because of not having enough karma, then that would mean that they would be born in the lower realms. Whereas just like having plenty of provisions would mean that you would be able to have a comfortable journey, you'd be able to reach the end of your journey comfortably, without difficulties, in other words. Then likewise, if you've created enough positive karma, then that means you'd be able to go on to a happy future existence.
The question is Chungalayo, Menonium de Niemeja, Chui to Basabijan, no chain Kiji Kawan Jurus, Isheda. In Marita, they were Magua Chungi in Ayon, did no Mares and no meche, near Juji Mares. Caresena, Chui to Chungis, Madame Mavina, Kumombo Sayon Dugona, and no Chenmo Konga. You get it, the Anoji, the Wachung Yon Layon, near Juji. Javina and the woman Chanoya. 다 된데 전에 니바 몸부 용야 용거래 나 니바 중요 코로야 페이지에 첨부 로야용 쓰게 요르와 근데 중요나 니주지 제가 말했어 근데 뭐 중요는 세비나 소자 중요 sonda 동아 중요 요래 근데 니바 중요 요래 인다 뭐 중요 세비나 티 니바 샤 마톰나 소니니 노니 제제 남답지 세윤도 니만 정화서 침비나 다 보내나 야지세 봤다 송거 롱고지 세비 되고 있어 그래서 차로요 근데 얘도 중요나요 니 주제지요 말에 zem고 그래서 송거
Then looking at the next verse down where it says, and also do not scorn even the tiniest sin. So you shouldn't think to yourself that if you commit some small negative action that it doesn't really matter and in a sense scorn it or be scornful of that and just say it won't harm me, it doesn't matter. Because just like even small drops of water, when you have many of them, they can fill up a large vessel. So similarly, even though the faults might be small, in one way, many small faults gathered together becomes something great. And even one small negative action can become something quite great. It can become huge. Like, for example, you might kill a small insect and think to yourself that because, generally speaking, that's quite a small fault, and then you might think it doesn't matter. But the thing is that if you don't confess that and purify that on the day that you've committed that negative action, then the next day it becomes double the negativity, and then the next day it becomes 4 times the negativity, and so on, so that by the time 15 days is up, then the negative karma that you've created would be like the negative karma of having killed some large animal like a yak or an elephant.
대과 중세 단위지 최신 명원 말씀이시겠어. 최에 대과 동안에 노제 공화 대신에 중세사비 뒤비 지바라도 공환죠. 개와 중세 단위지 최신 명원 말씀이지. 최에 대과 동안에 분쟁 공화지 중세사비 개와 땀바라도 공환죠. 시에 동안서. 이말다 대과 중중지이나 그 뇌바시라면 인자 제가 치마나 지선으로 두고 말해 사만호. 근데 중반이나 근데 말해서 대과 중세 단위지 최이만 말씀이시 다 빼다게 되지 봐. 최에 들봐 동마대 사연도 노침보 공로 그래. 대가 노지 대과 중세지 사바이나요. 대 에다 지바 소소죠. 대과 시아마 신기나 근데 주디비 공지 누구 누가 봐도 용거야 용거래서.
So then we're going further down. It seems that we've read out the next 2 verses where it starts, and further do not think that the commission of even a tiny sin will not pursue you. Those 2 verses. It might be just the first one anyway. So again it's saying here that you may think that when you've committed just a very small negative action, done some small negative karma, that because it's small, then it won't follow me to the next life. But this verse explains with a similar example that this is not the case, because just like it's just like many small drops of water being able to fill up a large vessel. Similarly, the childish or the immature, the word here in the English it says fool. Actually, the Tibetan word is jipa, which means like the children or the immature, the childish, because of not knowing how to purify their negative karma, so they get completely filled up with even with small negative actions that they've engaged in.
내 droba이나요. 스마드 지선 로트 말이 중요를 삼았던 제지와 말이 근데 배당이 노지 최대와 사연도 맞지 못 공로 그래. 대노지 개와 중세지 사용 비가라 템바라도 공한 줄다. 템바세야 개바도 song in the London Keba and again, Gavachun says, Sahad in Ayon, Jason gave it you so. And the endeavor, they were part of Nojoya, the younger song in
Give you soup.
So the child,
Sorry. Okay.
for the child, a child is in the name is used that one who doesn't know negative karma, one who doesn't know how to confess, even knowing negative karma but doesn't know how to confess. So that's called child.
Yes. Then now we're looking at that second verse, the one which says, "Do not think that the cultivation of even a tiny virtue." So that is saying that you also might think that in the case of a small positive karma, that it's so insignificant, it's so small that it won't follow me to my next life. And using a similar example as before, the verse is teaching it's not like that, because it's just like small drops of water being able to fill up a large vessel. And so just like that example, the what's the word it uses here? The steadfast. This steadfast, or somebody who's very steady, this refers to somebody who is wise, a wise person. So a wise person will be filled with even small positive karmas by creating many small positive karmas.
Imbata, Jirab Legions. In the Tomajum Nene, more Lobalam Yenegas on Jusime Jevaji, Ti Kamla Reda, Loju Lobombabu, Treja, Jirab Soji Pasea, Ti Nanayon, then the song Imre, Jirab Legion. Get on Megilena, Comchebe, Menalan and Dribani the Jur, Tadavada, Che the Madam, Servian, Menam in the Jew. A god of Megile Carina, Tendela, Comba Conche Chevanayon, Comba Chemochayan, combating Menamana, Redanazo, Comdichimbo, attend the child. Then the child do, Tadavada, Che the Madam Jones, Jivatamala. Reda, non junior journal, Chid and the Masanayon, and then Madame Jo, Servicena, Melamishindo, Joes, in Merida, Meso Chimbomaguba, and Melamra, Yena, and Delam, Meso, the Tendisha Goya Mero, Go Melamna, and Ramarashayan, Noji, Reteratama, Tikamla, Jozo Madum Nayon, da. Tagi Jimadon of Peshua Hindu, Jimbinojo Lonjo Yungaris, Tanojida, Mageva Yinayon, Tendelani, Comdichamuja Yina, Zero Samala, Longa Ju, Children Masa Nayon, the Reda, Longanoya, attend the Yungaris, so I'm.
Then next, the text quotes from the garland of birth stories, the Jataka, the Kirap. These are this is a collection put together by Lompao, so the Acharya Vira. So it's a collection of accounts of different lives of the Buddha when he was practicing on the path and taking birth, various types of birth as a bodhisattva. So in the Jataka, or in these garland of birth stories, it mentions that when if in one particular life, like in this life, if one becomes habituated, if one gets habituated with creating positive karma, then because of making a habit of it, one becomes very accustomed to that, and then in one's next life, even without having to particularly go out of your way to practice, in a sense, which means even without much effort, just like in a dream, one would practice positive karma. And similarly, if one has so like, for example, the teaching that from practicing generosity, the there comes resources and so forth. So as a result of habituating oneself in that, then one would come to enjoy the result of resources. And similarly with negative karma, if one makes a habit of engaging in negative karma, then it's like one becomes accustomed to that. That becomes like something customary for us. And then also, as a result of that, in future lives, then somehow, without much effort, quite easily, we would tend to engage in negative karmas. No.
Just going back before these quotations before. So if one has collected this quotation, just going back. So one who has collected virtue, then in the other lives, even you didn't really put effort, like enjoy like dream, means without an effort. So in the dream, when you have enjoyment, there's no effort; it just happens. So like that, if you collect the virtue, then in the other lives, without an effort, then you see, like dream, you will have enjoyment without. You will get enjoyment, success without an effort.
Then, that rabbi jino, sutim laso majona, reglon, sodon, nonzion, then namnon, tomne rabbi chichi, nonam chujon ron, and simisela sujon deva tomen, sunya, deva tomen yur, imarita, da, chimala, ten somboji tovala, sutim namda song yoro, and ten della lonjo, juana, jimba kogiore. Jimba Dayanda, Rabdi Jimba, some you number Tawa, Tenegone, Jimba Toya, and it's really Misuya. Tenemajoina, that Sendela, Rintomology, Suzombo, Nonzo, Lasobe, on the Namdone, Lusem, Top Chimbo, Rene, and Tano Lonjo or Subo. Tennis child, the honor yon, at the Sengamal Saja, give legend of Lonjo de Yormato, there's some just similar Pengamarwa. In that similar Payade, at Tandi Tendi Tone, Gijo do Yore, in the Semisa Suyon Devatom Benjo, Tendi in the Tandi Negam de Sengame give us up in Rivachi. And that Semana. Reda, then Zomboda, Redaji, Yaki Chedo, Tanda, get a sago race, so
Now, then the text goes on to explain that it makes the point that in a future life, if you want a good future life, like as a human being and so forth, then you need to guard morality, you need to practice morality in order to have, besides that, to have the resources, then you need the practice of generosity, which means practice, giving with a pure motivation. Without that, then you might have many qualities, such as being rich, and it mentions several here, being rich, being powerful, being very strong and so forth. But really, that's simply the result of your past positive karma. You're simply using up the past positive karma, and just having those qualities of richness, power, and so forth won't be of any benefit to you in your next life. What you need to be, what you need to benefit you in a future life is practicing positive karma. To practice positive karma, and so what that means is that it's now that we have to, in order to get such a good future life, now we need to create the root of virtue. We need to create positive karma.
Nimarita, Relasoba Mayo, De la Machashin, Rabdi Jino, Sutim Laso Yon Lende, Yajidina, Bachu Jamso Konwaji, Simisana Giba, Deva, Jeban Joros. That Relas of a Mayans, that Taki Konde, Yonde de Mache, de Ati Doso, Risu non de Yonde Meva, a top chungi, Norjiba, Tendeji Inayo, Sendela, Tendeji Inayo, and Deba Megava Macha, Deba Masa, and Jimada to him, last of a Yonde Yabos Sumbayina, and Simisela, Devajachi Muyungeres, Pena, Yaji Tuna, Chabamoton Yundu, Jamdu Kondo, Tenoji, Chimala Devajiva Yungeres, so.
Then if though one might have a low caste or be of a low somehow social status, you might be weak, you might be poor, and in general you might be have the opposite of those qualities that were mentioned before. But if you practice virtue and avoid non-virtue, and if you practice morality, and if you practice pure generosity, then in the next life, then you would you would experience happiness. You would be able to achieve a good future life, and this is just like, or just as natural as the ocean being filled up, or a lake being filled up by the what is it, summer rain? It mentions by the summer rain. No.
The waterfall, the ocean filled up Bapchu. Ocean filled up by the waterfall in the summertime. So like that, those who practice morality, charity, in the future lives, the happiness will be developed, increased.
Jiden Chamala, they do Yungere, Tayon, Givale Devato, Givale Dungan Yuma, Ngebare, Tende Reda, lending Eva, some not on and send the Diwa Bonjet of Chiata, Givil a Beso Chego race. Reda, lended the Yishi Teba Medenge, Tende Yinada, Kono Karin Dondoche de Amato, Juya Marva, in the Teba Mebat and the Chedan Nova Ju, Jesus.
It's a bit distracting. Still with the Jataka stories. So what it's saying is that having ascertained that, having gained this understanding, this certainty that that karma is definite, that definitely from positive karma comes only happiness, and that from negative karma comes only suffering, then one should make the decision to avoid all negative karma and to practice positive karma.
Next lives. Next lives. By having committed to virtue and non-virtue, the next life, that one will definitely receive happiness.
So not just that it definitely brings suffering, but definitely brings suffering in the future life. Positive karma doesn't just definitely bring happiness, but definitely brings happiness in future lives. So having ascertained that.
Le percheva sayati. Then da le majeba do medeba. Le majeba do medeba bane dedu nyomi jor churbe le masana imerta devi jola gewasa kuyoji donga jombe gewaji. Then again jod masawa yina le den dedu te menyowa de imerta le somo masawa yina and dedu de jin yoya yomares in the le majeba do tag mares ona tende yina danda devajin shingam 신감데 단다 도마 오바메제 레네 소니 오스조베 다 ngōngi mōnam chūpi tōla tēne chūparwa. Ndā tēnyi dēwa jīngi xiāngi lōng chū tēngi gōngsā tēchī kē yōng, tēnla lōng chū yā yōng kē lōwa sē na. Tā tē xiāngi dēn rūyā kē jūsō dā sā kō mā rē, yīnā yōng tēnla lōng chū yā kē jūsō jī sā kō rē sē. Tē kā rē sē na nē, oba mē kē tsēn sōng chō yā, sō tā yā, tē sō kō rē. Tē mā jī na, Reta dewa jen inji den de la no joya yung maris. Tombe so chome ba la sa ben de tombe jum den ge reta ga je chome so so den sa ja ge de la no jo ge nam ji yung da tombe den de wa ji ja ku yo ma do yin de de la no jo tu maris. Nam ji jo de da ju tam ji sa ma gu jo cha ji sa ku ba yin no. Yin ma cha ji sa si ya da tomba and then you have some attending.
No, Tambada.
Legend
Yeah, okay.
So just before that, so a definite experience heaven suffering in next life. So therefore, abandon negative karma must attend, highly attend to correct virtuous action. Then those who do not have devotion, then those who do not have faith in the karma, then they will engage anything, however they like it, and they follow.
So that actually would bring us to the end of this verse, which is quoted at the top of page 214. So now, having explained about how the karma increases, now we're looking at the third one, not experiencing the effects of actions that you do not do. Not meeting with karma that you haven't created is literally what it says, not meeting with karma you haven't created. So this means that to experience happiness, you definitely need to create the positive karma, which is a result of that, because without having created the positive karma, which is a cause for that happiness, then there's no way that you'd experience the happiness which is the result of that. So then somebody, somebody might say, isn't it the case though that with, for example, Amitabha's Pure Land of Dewachen, Amitabha's Pure Land of Dewachen, that which is something which is created by his virtue and by his prayers. So if we go to that Pure Land, then isn't that a case of experiencing the result of the karma that he's created, the cause that he's created?
That pure realm, the Amitabha's Pure Land, which is actualized, that Amitabha Buddha said he completely should have merit to the prayers.
No. Okay, so not just due to his root of virtue and prayers, but due to his two types of merit and prayers. Okay, having completed those. So you might think that in that case, if we are born there, then we would be experiencing the result of his result of the causes which he's created. So that would be a case of meeting with karma that you haven't created, which would be the opposite of this. So even though you don't have to have created all of that, you can experience that without having created all of the causes of that, but you do need to have created or collected what's called the causal collection of that, which means, for example, reciting Amitabha's name. And
so you don't have to create the karma like Amitabha Buddha did. You don't have to create the karma that which creates the Amitabha Pure Land, but you have to create from the those who get reborn in the reincarnate in the Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land and have all this enjoyment from their side. They don't have to create the cause to create the Pure Land like Amitabha did, but they have to create the cause to enjoy the Pure Land, to reincarnate to enjoy the Pure Land. So such as the reciting Amitabha, the reciting name, and that.
Because without having created that kind of cause at least, like reciting the Amitabha's name, then you wouldn't be able to be born there. So you do need to have created the cause. And also, in the case of Shakyamuni Buddha, our own teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, who, in terms of the two types of merit that he created and completed over a course of 3 countless great eons, even though we don't have to have created all of that positive karma that he's created, but in order to sort of partake of the result of his practice, we do need to have created a karmic relationship with him. So it's still, one still does need to have created a cause to experience that.
Kondoda lodi chomroya. Kondoda lodi chombayina, and drive me to Marco Chomsarva, drive and Jaya can do about the Chomsar. Da, Tendega Machomachi, Machomayina, da, drive the Mammy Padre Chusaya Mare, drive me, De Pala Rita, tu. Rambo and go in a yon, go do me. The Ganoji Magawaji in a Magawa Sane, and the Shadam Chene, Naminjim Luba Jom, Tendesha, Yogarwate. Teremajo in a go doing Jim. In the Legard Magawaji, you don't want the moment doing and Jimbate, Cheban Pato, Transena, the Gedita, Chimbaneji, Poama, Choji Shibach. Chichu Mazata, Majebado, Tremia songs, Imerida, Jumnende, Cherubi Tomba, Chebardon Pabi, Pachu, Gonet Obaja, Cheban Patos. Tina Kandi Orsena, transition, Rizigation, Kagedi, Tamji Chimbalemba, Chichi the Teja of Sono. And yon energy in Hayon, Lobong yon, then the Loman Marteja of Sono, Tendeshaki orders. Chimba Lenji, Chigita Chigapampoyachi. Choges, Jomden Choje, and the Tenderson Mare. Sozu Leche, Sozu Lechevayina, the individual Mazavat. Sozu Le Majevayina, the individual Mares, in the Cherubi Tombata, Cheroni Cheber, attended those.
So then, then we move on to the 4th section, which says the actions you have done do not perish, they don't go to waste. So this means that whether you have done good or whether you have done bad, then the result of that will ripen one day. In the case of creating positive karma, doing some positive action, for example, then that it's possible that giving rise to anger or wrong view, then the potential for that karma to ripen would be destroyed. But otherwise, then if that hasn't happened, then eventually it would never go to waste. It would never just disappear or perish, as it says here. No matter how much time has passed, eventually then that karma would ripen, and there would be a result. And likewise with negative karma, if you've engaged in some negative action, then although purification, the confession and restraint, confession and restraint from the negative action, those practices, they can also destroy the potential of that negative karma to be able to ripen into a suffering result. But if apart from that, then definitely that positive action would eventually ripen. It would never be the case that it would simply perish and not ripen. So eventually it would bring a big suffering result. And then we go on to read from this text which says the praise of the exalted one. So this is a text which praises the Buddha for being superior to other non-Buddhist teachers. And so it says, you can see this verse where it says, it's on page 214, where it says the Brahmins say that virtue and sin may transfer to others like giving and receiving gifts. So there are these non-Buddhist teachings, like by the teachings of the Brahmins, that say that karma, when you've created karma, you can give that karma to somebody else, just like giving them a gift. And likewise, they talk about the qualities or the knowledge of the master can be transferred to, can be sort of handed over to the students, to the disciples. So the Buddha's the teaching of the Buddha is not like that. The Buddha teaches that if you want to experience the result, then you have to have created the cause. And so, from this point of view, this text, or this text praises the Buddha for being superior to the non-Buddhist teachings, because of teaching that.
menjowa mare yugres yenje seba sowan juwa mi da yenje se ja je na le seba chim ma seba da mate da yenje seba de ndo re rong nyong juwa yo mare yenje seba rong sowan juwa yo mare so mare.
Then we have this passage quoted from the King of Concentration Sutra. Further, once you've committed an action, you will experience its effect, and so on. So this is saying that if we create karma, then it's we who experience the result. It's we who will, in a sense, come into contact with the result of that. And this is something that cannot be changed. And likewise, it's saying that when other people create karma, there's no way that we can experience the result of that.
driven me out Jujen so go to up the near ina and then Lujen say that some ye major and took up the Kabajachi Mayina, took up the near you do one, driven the talking of the race somewhere.
Then we go on to this verse at the bottom of page 214, coming from the basis of discipline, and that says that once one has created karma, then as long as the term here mitunshok, the sort of the discordant side, which means in the case of positive karma, being destroyed by anger and so forth, as Rinpoche explained before, and anger and wrong view, and in the case of negative karma, as long as it's not destroyed by purification and restraint. So there's sort of the opposite, some opposing factor. As long as it's not destroyed by that, then then karma, once it's been created, it would never be lost. No matter how many eons might have passed, then the karma that's created by the embodied beings, is that the term that it uses here? It says beings here. It's another, in the Tibetan it says luchen, the embodied beings. those who have bodies, what it is another name for sentient beings. So no matter how many eons have passed, then sentient beings eventually have to experience the result of their karma, if it hasn't, as long as it hasn't been destroyed by some kind of opposing force, as explained before. So we've just looked at these last two of the 4 points, and so if we look back at the first of the 4, which is saying that karma is definite, it's saying that it's completely fixed, that when you've created positive karma, you're going to experience happiness as a result, and if you've created negative karma, you're going to experience suffering as a result. That's fixed. The conclusion from that, or the decision that you make as a result of having reflected on that, is I must definitely practice positive karma, and I must definitely avoid the creation of negative karma. Then when you look at the second point, which is how karma increases, then the decision to make, having reflected upon that, is that since even the slightest positive action can lead to great positive actions, positive results, great happiness as a result, then I must create, you'd make the decision, I must create even the slightest positive karma. And since likewise with negative karma, even the slightest negative karma can lead to huge suffering as a result, then you would make up your mind, I must avoid the creation of even the slightest negative karma. And then the third and the fourth are looked at together. So the third, which is saying that you wouldn't experience the results which you don't experience karma that you haven't created. You don't experience the result of karma you haven't created. So and then the fourth one, that the results are not lost. So because results are not lost, they never perish. Then you make the decision. I must purify all of the negative karma that I've created, because those results won't be lost. And then since one cannot experience a result when you haven't created the cause for it, then you make the decision. Therefore, I have to engage in in creating positive karma, virtuous karma.
Le geva le do dunga nyoya, me geva le deva nyoya, me geva le deva nyoya mesiyachi. And geva dunga nyoya mesis, laying eba. The laying eba in bade, Suzugaris, Ganguma, Travatonia Jumber, Europe. Geva le deva nyoya, me geva le dunga nyoyate, Chen the Suzugaris. Kade Chenmarva. 그 준이 세야 돼. 준이 지르바. 독이 상황 답변이나 근데 제가 저거 독 동버제 뒤에는 노트 용도야지. 근데 상황 봐 매니저 답변이나 매니저 정신제 대인들도 편도 요돼야지. 대 쳔말과 준이로. 내가 나오지 내가 나는 저거도 용하대요. 준이를.
Then again with the fact of karma being definite, which also states that, besides stating that positive karma leads to happiness, it also says that it's impossible for suffering to arise from positive karma. And besides the fact that negative karma leads to suffering, it's also impossible for happiness to arise from negative karma. It's completely impossible. And a person in Europe was once asking, who made that so? Who is it that sort of like makes that happen, as if it was some kind of rule imposed from outside? But in actual fact, it's not like some like anyway something imposed on you. It's actually, it doesn't work like that. It's simply a fact of nature. It's a natural thing. It's like a natural thing for it to happen. It's just so it's just like when you observe in the external world that a medicinal tree naturally, a plant, the seed of a medicinal tree naturally grows into a medicinal tree. It doesn't grow into something poisonous, and the seed of a tree which is a poisonous one then would naturally grow into a poisonous tree and not into something medicinal. So it's just like we find that in the external world, also just naturally we find that in the internal world, that positive karma only leads to happiness and not suffering, and negative karma only leads to suffering and not happiness.
So this is a like somebody made law or rule, then you have to follow. So not that not that. It's a science of the reality of the phenomena. It's science of the reality of the phenomena. It's the evolution, how the reality of the phenomena works, functions.
이말다 네 마제바도 men데 제바 취면서 해야 돼. 그러다 단다 몸에 로주제 제가 있나 단다 여보샤베 좀 소마세야지 공 납자 이말 건도네 유유근데 톱대요래 첸모 톱대요 이말 첸모 톱제네 줌주 톱대요 건도 줌주 첸모 고충선이 다 그래도 내가 줌주야 말에 때 요주더니 제 요하니 말에 나 대라네 이제 차도게 좀 보러 매일 매자동형 말에 매자동형도 거나 줌주용게 좀 납자대 좀 줌주게 남가대야 보 남가야 보이는데 남진은 이제 포인트야 매일 단 레드 그리고 레취면서 인도 근데 좀 뭔가지 좀 뭐서 마셔야 되게 좀마다 레라 소미지스다 레즈바 취면서 그래 나도 레라 도디야스 매는 맞춤네 매츠거래 네 제목 중에서 야 좀로 가면 괜데 트위터 그래 근데 대가르세나 레 제바 취면서 인도 좀 조용해서 매다 되거든 레 맞제바도 매다 인도 좀 맹겐데 공부 매체 용요래데 트위터 그래 근데 제바 취면서 하도 맞제바도 매드에서 하게 빼놨어.
Then there's a story from the past which illustrates how it is that that you cannot experience the result of you can't experience the result of karma that you haven't created, and that karma doesn't perish. So I didn't get all the names, but anyway, there was a
king.
Queen. There was a king who had 500 wives, and
King Sherpa.
No. So
the 5 princes.
They had there were 500 wives.
Yeah.
There were 500 wives who had all achieved the level of non-returner. So this implies that having
Path of no return.
the path of no return, the path of non-returner. So they had like magical, miraculous abilities, magical abilities. They were able to fly and so forth, and they also had this servant who hadn't achieved such a level, didn't have any such magical powers. And then what happened is one day somebody out of jealousy set fire to the place where they were living.
The palace of the wife.
The palace where the 500 queens were living. And so because using their these miraculous powers, they started to take off into the sky, but they weren't able to escape. And realizing that they had created the cause, they had created the karma for this to happen, and that when karma has been created, then it never perishes. Then they fell down into the fire, and they were all burnt.
The wife, the Osangma, announced him that that you should accept your karma.
Okay, so this was the main wife.
Yeah, main wife.
The main wife told them
that they should accept karma,
no.
because they cannot fly. Even though they normally can fly, but the day when the palace is burned, they cannot fly. So she told them they should accept the karma, and
then the servant girl who didn't have any such abilities, she was called Kuchungwa. She was able to escape through this waterway. So she wasn't able to fly. She didn't have any magical abilities to get away, but
through a ditch she was able to escape.
Through a ditch, she was able to escape, and this illustrates the fact that if you haven't created the cause, then you don't experience the result. She hadn't created the cause to be burnt in the fire, so she wasn't burnt in the fire. She was able to get away from it. No.
Imbaratan, Rida, ne, Jumne Jodi Kala, Shajang Abja, Rajabo, Redam Pajibo Sayajage, Jabo the Nomuni again, Shajang Abja Severva. In the Tende, saying Jabo the Nomuni Mote, Muma, Nyachamujila, Ninchi di Yore. Nyachamuni de Nyavang Abji Saymer. Nyavang Abji Saymer Gala, Tomajumne, da Muma, Kujangoma Tendela, take up the Puchu Yuimari. And then Yavang Abji, Nyase, Tobium the Gola, Nyapasasho, Tendesidu, Temino Ajene, and the Jemuji, and the Noimbarwa. Immertaju, Thomas Wanje Sene, Tanda Nyani de Jabo the Nombodache, and Konig Marton, Shajang Abja saying. That Shajang Abja saying, do Shaji Tronje Nona Mat living, Kabla Rita, Le Chibachu Mezawa Yinza, Shigoya de the Trune, Togon Ma Trune, Legion no Gon Sun, Shagon Martomina, Togon Zu, Tendecene, Kanga Sever. Da le mevati Tronjano Yoding Kanga, Cello the truth of it. Take out Lani, Shigoyake, Puni, Jumden Lendeling, Bajevic, and David Tronjelici, a chill from Zenon, Jano. Tendecene, Mata Choyondu, the near Shatsayo. And the only let's say what you must have asked, Sumiyori. That truth turn again the zone, Majipato Metibas Yadra. Tajum then, take out Lani, Cotonou is so shivery. The Cotonou do something, suit them. It doesn't the two tango Carisena, Muma, tell the Temino Jessiwa Inza, a teeny vari somebody. That ended Gidi Chunji in your division your say, that is a Jim member.
Then, at the time of the Buddha, on one occasion, there were 500 members of the same clan, the Shakya clan. These were killed by one king. I didn't catch the name. Pakibu. And the sort of the reason for this happening during one past life is as follows. There was a time, on one occasion, 500 fishermen killed a fish or two fish.
Two large fish.
Killed two large fish. And at that time, the Buddha in a previous life was a child there that was watching the spectacle, watching what was going on. And
laughed.
And laughed.
Watching the fish being killed.
Okay.
The two great fish being killed behind the fishermen. And then with a small child at that time, one of the past lives was a small child, and looking at the scenery, and laughed at it.
Laughed at it. So then, as a result of that, then in this time when Buddha was alive, then this king was able to,
after becoming enlightened.
After Buddha had achieved enlightenment, these 500 members of his clan were killed.
Shakya. They cast Shakya 500.
Shakya caste. Okay, the Shakya caste. Then, so there were two young members, two children from that Shakya caste who were like fleeing from this massacre, and the Buddha hid them under his begging bowl in order to protect them, so that when the people came to kill them, they wouldn't be seen. So he put them under there to protect them,
to give faith for other people, to other people, to give faith in the karma. So Buddha had one Shakya during that time in the baking bowl, one put in the moon, I think.
Okay.
Over the moon.
So one under the baking bowl and one on the moon.
Not entered the bowl. Inside the baking bowl.
Inside the baking bowl. Okay, inside the baking bowl. But later, when the Buddha, later still the child that was hidden inside of the bowl was found to be dead, and the one on the moon. I don't know. The one that was put on the moon was also died.
So when the Shakyas were killed, that time the one Buddha hid in the ball also died, and there was one on the moon also died. To show the karma.
And this illustrates the fact that when you've created karma, that karma doesn't just perish. Eventually, you have to experience the ripening result of that. So because they had created the karma, then they just weren't able to escape that. They had to experience the result. And even the Buddha himself, in a sense, showed the way or manifested having a headache at that time. And this was to...
backache.
Oh, sorry, backache, not headache. The backache at that time. And this illustrates also this illustrates also the fact that once you've created the karma, then that karma doesn't perish, doesn't just disappear, because
even
the
small,
Buddha was
even small karma created.
Even though he'd created this very small negative karma of simply being a child at that time and laughing at what was going on, still he had to you still have to experience the result.
Look at the two great fish being killed, 500 fishermen. So look at it as a scenery, as a fun, and then laughed. So that small negative karma, then this Buddha showed pain at the backside.
All right.
So from small negative karma,
not laughing at the fish being killed as such, but seeing it as a show and as like a show or as a spectacle, and laughing at it.
Yeah.
No, that's a bit different. Yes.
So the 500 Shakyas were killed. The 500 fishermen before who killed the two great fish.
No. Yes, so those 500 Shakya members of the Shakya clan that were killed were the 500 fishes in the previous life that had killed the fish, that actually killed the fish.
좋네 단단도 주요들 단다 있나요 된다 뭐 다주지가 더 통되지요 뭐라도 남들 된다 좀 쇼용도 근데 가시시 가시네 봐자 요 가시 정자는 매 되게 된다 용돼야 돼서요 근데 시고하게 레 맞게도 마셔지 단레 잡진으로 마사게 돼서 신마셔지 요 내봐자 단 레자는 마사게 돼서 정자 잔매가 탁된게 근데 용 더 돈주요대로 대체 용 레 맞게 봐도 근데 제가 주면서 써야 돼
다진 하는 녀친분이 세셔지지만 그 제법 파제부 랑부치니로 티니르반
그래 야더니 제가 집 봐도 된다서네 손에 여치 다들 탐마들이 말
네 정 제법 파제
야니인데 야방압지 파세 바로
라진
지스냐 니 못되게 남자대 랭압지 봐도 좋세 손에 압지세요 단다 탐마들이
네 그저마 제법 파제부 주네 벌써 장아 좀 세븐
나
근데 랑진이 직송소
롬보
랑부치니 제법 파제부터 랑부치니
이번 바지 뭐 그러지 그런게 롬보지
랑부니체
롬보 그런 야보다 롬보
롬보 So, yeah.
So with the two fish, so the two fish were the ministers of this king Pakibo.
The two fish who were killed by the 500 fishermen. Then they later became later. So what happened as a result of karma? Then the two great fish killed by 500 fishermen. So then, as a result of karma, the two those 500 fishermen. So in the following lives, so they were killed by these two. The incarnation of these two great fish. You see, 500 times they were killed. So the 500 fishermen, their next life, they were killed. How many times? By the continuity of the incarnation of these two great fish. Killed the 500 fish. So all the following lives, they were killed 500 times by this continuity of the life, the incarnation of the two great fish. So later, so I hope that's clear. So the two great fish that were killed by the 500 fishermen. So one was born as King Paktebo, one was born as minister. So like I misunderstood. I thought elephant, but there's a language, but it's a lombo. One's born as a king, and one's born as a minister. So during that time, then the 500 shakyas were killed. So because they before that was the last one. So before that was the last one, last experience of that karma. The 500 fishermen killed the two great fish. So after 500 times they were being killed. This is the last one. They were born as shakya, then they were killed.
So those are these are accounts of past stories, things that have happened in the past. But we also see this kind of thing these days, like when you see plane crashes, car crashes, where some people are killed, some people are injured, various levels of injury, some escape completely unharmed from the crash. So what this indicates is those people who are killed, they were killed in the crash because they had created the karma to be killed. Those who were injured, they had created the negative karma, but sort of like not such heavy negative karma. So instead of being killed, they were injured. And those people who escaped unharmed, this is because they hadn't created the karma at all to be harmed.
So among those, what is it? Airplane crash, whatever happened. But even though many people died, but there's somebody who didn't get injured, or didn't experience that, didn't get injured, didn't die. So that's because not having greater karma, so didn't experience the result. So an example of that, which is that happening even nowadays, you can see.
That in the pen Mombo gone, then Ton de other than they gone, that lend Majaba the Majaba, Tiba Chumas or the soda, and he bought on top at Jago Yori. He bought on it, they no ye, Les Ombo, Sacha to Chia, and then by in a Pasha Dumchi, George to Chia, then the Laneta go.
Relying upon these, on many examples and reflecting on many examples, we should try to come to the certainty that that you don't meet with karma that hasn't created, and that karma, once it's been created, is not lost, it never perishes, never just simply goes to waste. And having gained that certainty, then as a decision that would arise from that, the decision you would make up your mind to follow from that is to engage in virtue, because you don't experience the karma that you haven't created, and to purify, to confess and engage in confession and restraint regarding the negative karma that you've created, because once karma has been created, it doesn't perish.
Sagami Pusum Sony Seaji, Songi Orwa. The Muma Kumasum Sony again, language trio. And Amaji Nesonia, they no longer the say, and the Changan Busse, Amade Gawajo, and the Jajumanayo, Macho the Amaji, Chozong Epaji, you are sure some one of them. Da yon jewa jela amatege chodela da namza so yore da chon so yore da de ne yon sum so ni le yon so ni de ama ro ba che en chodela namza so ayi bar da de de yo ama ga wo jo yon mo nam ja jewa tam je de po yu ya mo nam ja ayi bar. That and the Jedu Jesus Amate Dakumas Mison in the Amate Padache, Lango Sayate, Gayon, so Posum said they are. They are the Javan of Jipatit in the say. And Javan Tamade, da Sonje Shajuga Kamla, Lombochimuchi, Imbare. Sagama sayate, Nomochimojagi Chuma Imbari. And that Telane Gongasum to sing Nichevares, Tombo, Gonga. Gonga a Kasha in the Gona, Pua, the Zombo, Lonto the Lemba, Tobu Chimbo, Tenejege, Pustum Soni Chumari. In that day, and Chodena Gogaso Yinza, Tea, Givil Legend Revela, Amada Buganga. Attended the Javane to much
There's also a past story of which describes how there was one occasion when 32 thieves stole a lumbo, like some kind of a cattle or a bull, maybe a bull. Stolen ox, and they brought it back and killed it, and there was the mother who rejoiced in this happening, and made a prayer for those.
The 32 thieves, they brought ox to the old mother's house, and then they made food, and so mother had, they gave food to mother, so mother rejoiced eating the meat the ox. So then, the mother made also. She rejoiced, and then she made a prayer. Also, Jawajamal, in the young shows. Amad Manajan. Amakabati, the Jesuit Chentini, Jawajamal in the young shows.
Oh, boy.
Lord.
Commanded, no, boy, the jail shows.
Ali Kumati.
Commanded boy in shows. Maronti, Amaja shows. Is that take it?
So she made the prayer for those 32 thieves to be her children, for her to be the mother, for them to be her children, her sons in a future life. And then on another,
herself to be the mother of them.
Sorry.
Herself to be their mother.
For herself to be their mother, yes. And then
she made prayer.
She made that prayer. No.
After rejoicing.
After and then on another occasion, she was making like, what do you call it, clothing, sort of like cloth to offer to a stupa, and so she made these clothes and made that offering, and made the same prayer for those 32 thieves to be her sons in a future life, and for her to be their mother. So when she was offering divine scarf to the stupa, then there were 12 girls came to help her. So then, so then I think she made a prayer. No, shouldn't you get 말한 게 주된 될 남사 배우러 가자 영어로.
그래, 그래라. 숨전이, 숨지선이.
No, shouldn't.
숨지선이.
아니. So sorry, not 12 young girls. 32 girls came to help her to offer rope, to offer divine scarf to the stupa.
This must have been in another life, I guess.
Yeah.
Another life. So she made the prayer again for those 32 girls to be her sons in a future life. Mm-hmm. So then during 500 lives, those 32 original, they were thieves that had killed that ox. So they were killed during 500 lives by that ox, by the sort of like the future incarnation of that ox.
Killed back the 500 times killed those 32 thieves.
And then in the last life, in the final story, that original the old mother was born as a queen who gave birth to an egg, in which when the egg sort of like broke open, then inside there were 32 very beautiful looking, very handsome looking, and very strong sons. So this was a result. The fact that she was able to have these 32 very fine looking sons was a result of having made that prayer. Create the positive karma of offering that cloth or those scarves to the stupa.
Yeah. Then rejoiced you.
And having rejoiced and made that prayer.
The 32 young girls became to help rejoice in their prayer.
So it was a result of having made that prayer when they helped her.
The Lumboshi, the Georgia the Lumboshi.
No.
Lumboshi, no. And the Gonga Sumsuni.
Lombo. Jabu Lombo. Lombo Chimboji Chumaji.
So she
wasn't a queen, she was the wife of the minister.
She was the wife of the minister, great minister. So in this egg.
That in the Jen, Gavin Devilla, Conso, Rain Tomboda, Tomjo Chimbo, that Longo Sage, and McGiven River, and La, and Jevanga Jipado, 보스미 손인데 세 대세베네 아마게 동안용데 제가 가지 봐도 어떤 정황이 말이야. 제가 담마들라 다기 여보사지하게 넘버 침무지게 중마 공아 숨지 손이지 대례부 다 농조다 된데 연대 요등게 dom주 도주 침무 된데제게 보스미 손이 중반인데 다 잡은 원사기서는 오제네 동보 대제를 잠보시고 제기요 잡어 다 예야데 누마세야게 농고데 잡어도 차대요 다 젠데 nombo yenda jige chado je jabo de chama ju ani ma je la jabo bo sum soni gang go je yo.
So the because of the negative karma of because of the negative karma of rejoicing in the killing of that ox by those 32 thieves, because of them having killed those the 32 thieves having killed that ox and her having rejoiced in that. So because of that,
eating the food
and eating the food and rejoicing in that, the negative karma of that was that for 500 lives, those 32 were born as her children, and in each case the reincarnation of the ox killed those children, and she had to experience the suffering of the 32 children being killed. And then in the last life, the last of these lives, then she was the wife of this minister of the king, and where actually I said one egg, it was 32 eggs. They were born from 32 eggs. These 32 sons, all in like very fine looking and very strong and so forth, of good caste, and this was a result of the positive karma that she'd created they had created in the past of her offering the scarves to the stupa, and they helped. So as a result of that, they had this situation. So originally, in the beginning, the king was very attached to her, but then later, due to some kind of fit of jealousy, had all 32 of them killed.
The king had been had been kind.
One minister got jealous, so he became
the king,
jealous. And then
king takes care and king loves him, but the minister got jealous.
So the king originally was attached to the minister. No, attached to who? Sorry?
The king takes care of the family, the mother and children. Take care. The king loves him, but one minister got jealous, so slandered to the king.
Okay.
And then the king said to kill the mother and the 32 children. To kill. So that king is the incarnation of that elephant, who was
not elephant, but ox.
The king is the incarnation that ox, not an elephant. That ox was killed by the 32 thieves.
이말다 대행가데 보세행가데 넘번님들 제바 소년 부기요래 아마게 아미 소년 부기요데 예부 보이듯이 고치 대감노도 소고요 말. 단 남주 야부시고 저기요 봐. 아미 삼나 넘번님들 제바 연구시와 연구 된 전쟁제 제고요 이 말에. 근데 감카체로 제도 근데 좀 내가 감마체서 추송 전에 내만 통하이 말이야. 내만 통 산에다 같이 있어. 근데 같이 있는데 근데 보스 미송이 거들 됐대요. 인다데 내만만 통 추마데 거나 가자이나 근데 뭐 심랭게 셔야겠냐가요 이 말이야. 근데 제질한데 추때 내만 통사 인사 아다 거기 준이래 삼사님마도 농한 맞죠.
Then on the day on which these 32 sons were killed, there was a present. Anyway, it seemed what seemed to be a present from the king was made to the wife of this minister, and so because usually they had such a good, because usually he liked her, was very kind to her. She thought that there must be something quite nice inside of this box. In fact, inside this box were the heads of the 32 sons. So the Tathagata, the Buddha, was present and said, "Don't open the box for the time being." And he taught Dharma to her, and as a result of this teaching, then she came to see the truth. She came to realize selflessness. She came to realize the truth, to see the truth. And then she opened the box. So now if she'd opened the box before he'd taught her and before she had gained that realization, then it would have been a great shock to her. It would have created a lot of suffering for her. But now, having reached that level, then when she opened the box and was able to see that, she was able to simply take it as, or understand it as just being something, the nature of reality.
Nature of samsara.
Nature of samsara, sorry. No.
단조 동진이가 배자 좋은도 단조니가 배자 좋은도 어다도 메다바도 배자 좋은도 텐데서네 eng이 받지 놓고요. 나중에 텐데지네 단다 무엇은 통되지 왔는데 용비갑라 안달랜데 거다 메다바고 텐데지야에 삼도 동마에 나대야고 용기를.
So by thinking of these examples, then we should try to gain certainty about karma, and then Rinpoche has explained something about the Geshipotoa and the way that he used all circumstances to sort of increase his certainty about karma.
So is that so Geshipotoa when there are certain situation in life happens, when certain thing happens, then Geshipotoa every time relates to impermanence, death, or how the human body how so precious, and that this is highly meaningful. So every time he relates whatever situation happens in life, something happens, always relate to the LamRim meditation. So like this, having there's a definite, having a definite understanding of the karma. So there, we should also, similarly, in our life, when things happen, we should relate to the LamRim, to this meditation, to be able to have a definite faith in the more realization of LamRim.
Lili tamji zawa, lendeli iji teba sumbare, tende yendu, da beda, nonda, tende mombo gon samno tone, ni lendeli iji teba jeyate mena, ni yonde yen jeyake jetanonde mede yore. Tende yendu lili tamji zawa se sumbare. Yeda, lendeli ngebaji ene nyamne jeyate, ke chejuji chade yore.
the title of this this topic is the believing faith in karma, or the faith of belief in karma and its results, which is the root of all happiness and all everything which is excellent. So this is what this means is that by thinking about karma in this way, using logical reasons, using scriptures and so forth, then we need to come to certainty about the way in which karma brings its results. Without this, because without that kind of certainty, then it would be very difficult to gain any other qualities or any other knowledge. So it's because of this that it's called the root of all happiness and knowledge, because without it, then you wouldn't be able to create that happiness and gain those qualities and those excellent qualities. So please try to put into practice the Dharma which has been explained to you.
There was before Rich mentioned the Chenmo. So Rich said the Chenmo, meaning Chenmo, the Buddha taught teachings in bit pieces. So that's the Chenmo, the explained teaching bundles bit pieces. So to make sure that the last one that maybe not clear the last but I mentioned. So the 35, the 32 thieves killed the ox. So then kill back those 32, different lives 500 times. The ox killed back 500 times. So then one of them is, so the king was that incarnation, that ox, then killed the mother and then the 32 sons. So that's just